Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talk About Transformers. I'm your host, Sir Tacos, the monotone misfit himself, and we're going to be taking a look at the Bumblebee movie Brawn figure from Studio Series. And before we get to look at the figure, we'll go ahead and take a look at the box. So we'll go ahead and move him out of the way here so he's not flubbing up the camera in the background like they like to do. We'll go ahead and take a look at his box. Here we have Transformers Bumblebee on the top, pardon my light's glare. Here we have Transformers Bumblebee into Karatomi on the top of the front, Transformers Generations logo with the Transformers going up the side. He is Studio Series 80 Brawn, 8 plus Hasbro. There he is in a robot mode shot of him from the Bumblebee movie where we saw all of 2 seconds of Brawn. I think he actually got a line in. Studio Series 80 again with a zoomed in image of Brawn's face there, and it tells you that he is a deluxe class in multiple languages, so even if you can't understand this video, you might understand that writing. And I dropped the box. Look at us go already. Alrighty. The other side just has the Autobot logo from the side of the display base, and you've got Brawn there. And you've got the Transformers Authentic logo there. On the back, we have big screen inspired Transformers Bumblebee Brawn with him in his robot and his mine drill vehicle thingy. Cybertron Falls scene, I suppose, is what he's from. You've got 18-step conversion. It shows you the display base, backdrop included in multiple language. Brawn has a small bio, like 1 sentence, 2 lines. There you've got warnings and words and barcodes if you need the barcodes. And on the bottom, upside down words and warnings and other things in other languages. And that's pretty much it for the box. I realized I haven't been showing the inside of these, so we're going to do that. They come with... This is the actual cardboard piece that it's in, because they don't do the plastic so much anymore. This one still has a window, but yeah, they started using these little cardboard inserts, so this is what you'll snip him out of. But the image on that is the same as the image on this backdrop here that you can take out and display your guys on if you want. It shows some other people warring in the background. There's a Bumblebee-like vehicle right there. I think I see several Seekers and whatnot, and there's a big old set of bridges and what have you. You got your Studio Series number on the side, and you've got your Transformers. There's that Autobot logo that was peeking through the box, and all of that in the back is just cardboard, and that's about it. You also get the instructions in a random white piece of paper that I've never bothered to look into because I don't read instructions. Let me put all of this back in the box. Make the box nice and presentable. Look at how presentable that is. We're done with the box just so we can throw it. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the figure proper. Alright, and now that we have dutifully tossed our box, here we have Brawn in his vehicle mode, and he's kind of like a little mining vehicle. We'll go ahead and pop his weapons off real quick so we can see it as it is without any of the accoutrement, as someone on YouTube might say. There he is in his standard mining vehicle, and we'll take a look at it from the front. You've got the big old window where the pilots would be. You've got some gunmetal paint here, and it goes down here to the front. You've got some grill detail there. You've got the wheels in here, which are actually pretty nifty how they're inside on the front. RC, last time we talked about how she looked like, you know, the tumbler cycle. Well, the way these wheels are in here, it kind of makes me think of the front of the tumbler from The Dark Knight, where there's the thing holding it on the outside and they're a little bit on the inside. Coming down the side of the vehicle, you've got some gunmetal paint there, and there's a stripe of it here. This is gray plastic in the middle, but it all kind of blends into each other back here with this gunmetal, you've got some color breakup on the side for robot mode stuff, because you've got green and gray and yellowy orange. I'm deciding it's orange enough for me to actually like it, because I love orange, biased. And then you've got some nice green paint on this section, and this might be paint. I'll take a look at it again in robot mode and decide. Nope, taking a look at it right now. You can see the gray under there. It is green paint next to green paint, which helps these two look good together. And then when you look at it as a whole, since there's none of these, like I usually say, if the paint's not actually touching the plastic, it's easier to believe that the color is all cohesive. Your brain kind of helps with that. And then that same paint is up here on this rim here. His head is right there, and I have heard people compare this shape to a toilet bowl, and since the shape of the vehicle itself reminds me of, if any of you have watched many of the MCU films and seen the first Guardians of the Galaxy, those little mine pods that they are driving in nowhere when they're fighting those necrocraft, this kind of makes me think of those, especially with the drill on it for some reason. So with the toilet bowl in the mine aesthetic, I've been calling it the toilet miner. That's the name of this vehicle. Moving on though, you've got the gunmetal here in the middle with the nice Autobot symbol on the back, because this will become Brawn's chest. And then here at the back you've just got a Transformer midsection area with the wheels here, and you can see the hinges for articulation and whatnot. Here it is from the bottom. You can see his legs all warped around there at the bottom, but not much else given away. And then of course he does have visible head syndrome, but it's his helmet, and so if you used your imagination, this could just be some kind of weird seat for like a turret guy coming up the top, maybe. Use your imagination. Said a lot in the RC review. Use your imagination. And then we can go ahead and take his weapons and plug them on. This port here plugs into the post, so the port on the gun plugs into the post on the vehicle. It is not very solid of a connection, but it will hold. It just doesn't take a lot to turn it and pop it off. So it's the connection itself, the friction is good. It's good, but it doesn't take a lot to destabilize it. And then here on the bottom you have this port, and we can take this little drill bit and plug that in there and rotate that whole section up, and now he's got a little drill on the front. The drill itself doesn't rotate, it rotates at that peg, so this will come around with it, but that's okay, it rotates, that's cool, right? We'll go ahead and take this back off real quick. We'll take a look at it. It is molded in the same gray plastic, kind of like a tanny browny gray as the wheels and the other gun, and then you've got just a lot of silver paint on that drill. Really makes it pop, and I'm glad that they did that for this weapon in particular. This gun is one solid molded bit of that, and it's got lots of molded detail, and paint would make it look better, yeah, but I'm used to this on guns. It doesn't bother me that much, but I feel like this looks like it could actually cut into something to get the ore out, and it's that silver paint I think that does it, so I'm really happy they did that. But we'll go ahead and put these back on in case you're curious to see what this looks like. There it is from the front as a port, and on the bottom it's just that instead of the port. So we'll go ahead and get him all together. He's got the 4 actual rolling wheels, so he can do the rolling dues, and that's pretty much it for his vehicle mode. So we'll go ahead and get some other guys in here and take a look at some size comparisons. And starting off those size comparisons, here we have him with the Core Class Starscream figure. Here he is with the KO New Age Seeker mold, Starscream flavored this time. And this is slightly oversized from your Legend scale. Here he is with a fellow compact deluxe sized robot. This is Legacy Skids. Here he is with another mean green machine. This is the Voyager class bulkhead from Prime Universe from Legacy. And last but not least, for your leader class comparison, here he is with Studio Series 86 Grimlock. And that's it for comparisons. Alright, and our size comparisons are out of the way, so we'll go ahead and start transforming him. I'm going to rotate this down and remove the drill and gun first and foremost. They will not be staying on this time. And the first thing I'm going to do is come down here to the front and pop the legs off. There is a slot in this green nub here with a tab on the orange part that goes into it. And then you've got this little, trying to get that. There's a little tab in there and two teeth that kind of form a notch around it. Tab in gray, teeth in green. So we're going to kind of rotate that out, and then this tab will come free of the slot, and we'll go ahead and rotate these down. Same thing on the other side. We'll just take that out, and nothing is stressing in there really. Everything looks good in there. And they actually have, there's a bigger tab here that plugs into the slot made by those wheels that nobody likes with the, you know, the clip, so they kind of hide that on the front. That's pretty neat. So there you have it. Those are rotated down. We'll go ahead and rotate these so that the orange is to the back, and then we're going to unplug the orange. There is just a big old chunk here that just kind of wedges into that orange for it to stay in place. Alright, this gap right here goes around this thin spike up here for that. So we'll straighten the orange out, then rotate this whole structure, and then that big old chunk that plugged into the wheel is going to plug into the leg here to solidify that. And you've got this tab here that's going to go into that slot there too, so we'll do it on this side. Plug the foot, rotate it down, rotate the leg up until you get those connections made, and they're together. And there are his legs all done. We'll go ahead and rotate this top section around at the waist to reveal the chest here in the front. The arms are plugged in up in here. Oh, I never turned his hand after I transformed him. I wonder if that's why the arms are in a little wonky. But we'll go ahead and pull the arm down, and you've got this big old port here in the forearm, and that plugged into that post right there in that clear plastic. So just get those plugged in vehicle mode, and we rotate the arm around and up. So when you have him going back from robot mode, you're going to rotate the arm up and down because you want the shoulder to be oriented like that, so that way you can rotate it in. So we've got it out, up, and we'll rotate it down, and the forearms kind of do a micro accordion for vehicle mode. So we're just going to undo that and straighten that out. Go ahead and get his other arm out of there. So unplug it, rotate it out, rotate it up, rotate it around, and then fix the forearm. And I'll go ahead and rotate his fist forward while I'm at it, because I generally think it fits better if the fists are rotated forward, but the way I have him posed, I usually have the one fist rotated. Then we'll take this whole wheel section and fold it in. It just has stooping points that'll dupe in place. We'll go ahead and give this section a push to get his head up. It does softly snap into place. I don't know if you can hear that. Let me put it right next to my mic. Hear that clicking? That's it. Snapping in and out of place. Then you've got these big old tabs here that'll go down in here to solidify the chest. And if we get his arm out of the way, you can see that comes together. Those tabs that were plugged into the top of the legs for the beginning of the transformation with the wheel are going to clip in there too, and those gray parts come together to form a really cool bit of detail under that armpit area. And there you have Brawn in his robot mode. He is pretty short, squat, stumpy guy, but we'll go ahead and go over all that, and then we'll go ahead and get into some size. Alright, here is Brawn in his robot mode, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the details. We'll zoom in real quick here. He has got some blue on those eyes. You can see that in there. I can see it. Hopefully you can see it. because I look at my screen when I record now to try and keep it in frame and stuff. Still not super successful. I digress. Blue paint on those eyes. It does pop pretty good. This close. From a distance, not so much. From certain angles, not so much. But it does pop. He's got silver on his face. And then his helmet is gunmetal. And then they've got that silver color. I don't think it's different paint, but the way it's molded, this might be a silver up here painted on top of it. But I swear, some of this, like that, looks silver now. That little semicircle, but that's just the light hitting the paint right, which is really cool, because it almost gives it two different painted colors. But I think some of, like, this is definitely silver here. I think the outside of his little juggernaut helmet around the face is silver, but some of this stuff in here, when the light reflects it, it makes it look like they painted more of it silver than they did, and I like that. I think that looks really neat. You've got the gunmetal on the chest there, like we showed in the vehicle mode, and then that green paint coming up behind him. Here on the arms, you've got that silver stripe that kind of helped the vehicle come together, and they even painted it on both sides. Both sides have the stripe. That's really good. Then you've got the gray forearms. Just looks nice and squat, burly, and like he's gonna, do some stuff. He's small, but he can still get some stuff done. And then down here on the waist region, you've got some silver gunmetal accent stuff there to break that up. You've got silvery paint here with the green paint that we mentioned in vehicle mode on top of the gray plastic, so you've got lots of colors there. A little bit of gunmetal on the kneecap just to give it that flavor of color there. And then the feet are yellowy orange in the front, gray in the back, with the gunmetal on the toes. So this guy is excuse me, this guy is not monotone, not monocolored or monochromatic in any way. So we'll go ahead and zoom back out and take a look at the whole package. Here he is from the side. You've got the green on the wheels coming through there with the gray and green breakup, and then from the back, very tidy, clean back. You just got the little cockpit there with the wheels folded up inside, so it looks really good. It looks like it's part of his torso proper, like that's a shape that looks like it's intended to be that shape. And then you've got the back of them. You've even got some green down here, and even the silver screws in there just kind of look like they're molded, the stuff's molded around them, and that they're almost painted silver to pick out some details and stuff. So some really smart design choices here. And then just a thought, go ahead and leave it in the comments, but this guy looks like if they just gave it a different head and a different gun. He could be a Transformer crossover Grunt from Halo. If any of you've played Halo, he's got the shape on the torso, just needs a different head, maybe tweak the legs so that the feet look more grunty. It's been a while since I saw one, but yeah, if you're a fan of Halo and you know what I'm talking about, go ahead and look at this toy next to a picture of a Grunt. And I don't think it would be that hard for them to make a Grunt from Halo out of this. But that's about it for details. Go ahead and do articulation. His head can turn basically that far. The big old juggernaut helmet does get in the way, but that's about as far as I usually turn my heads anyway. I don't like to have the figure directly sideways or directly forward for the most part. I like to have them at an angle, and that face can look at an angle, so that's good enough for me. If I wanted more of an angle, then I'd get that waist turn in there. So there you have your head rotation. It is a swivel. There is no tilt in that, so it's just a slight swivel at the head, good enough for me. You've got ball joints on those shoulders, and they can go around. As seen for the transformation, they can go out, not quite 90 degrees due to the shape of the shoulder and torso getting in each other's way. Excuse me. There's a mushroom peg, it looks like, in here that gives you a bicep swivel. Depending on the angle, if stuff gets in each other's way, the shoulder will swivel before the bicep, but you do have bicep rotation there, not 360 because of everything getting in everything's way, but it is there. He has a double jointed elbow too, so you've got two joints in that elbow due to that semi-accordion that goes on during the transformation. And then you've got a rotation at your wrist, which does not serve a purpose transformation wise, so that is just there for the flexing. Literally, he's flexing. There you've got your waist swivel, which we did use in the transformation. The hips are not on ball joints this time, they're on universals. We saw them during the backside look at the vehicle. They can go back pretty far. It turned the torso for me, but if you keep the torso straight, then it doesn't go back as far. But if you give it a turn, you can get a little farther back. You can go forward pretty much perfectly straight out, unhindered. To the side, they don't go very far. The wheel gets in the way, and that's fine. Brawn is stocky, sturdy guy. He's not going to be doing splits, so I can live with that. And then you've got a swivel just above the knee. Just above the knee to act as your thigh swivel. You've got knee bend. You've got leg explosion. That's an articulation point. But you have bend at the knee that actually gets you a little over 90. So that's pretty good there. And then if you wanted to use that shin, it's not going to work for you as a double knee. Just saying. But there you've got a regular knee that gets a little over 90. And then he does have ankle tilt. Lots of ankle tilt. And then this being part of the transformation, tilts up a little bit, but not really, because it's actually going to probably rest there most of the time. But you can get downward tilt with it if you wanted. And that's pretty much it for the articulation on Brawn. It's pretty well articulated for such a squat, small figure. And we're going to be taking a look at how small he is here in a minute. But before we do that, we'll go ahead and take a look at his accessories. He's got this drill weapon, which he can hold like some kind of bludgeoning, stabbing, drilling tool, if you want. And then this little port that we saw in vehicle mode can plug into that port where the gun's stored. And that, like I said, that port is solid. It's not just going to fall off of there. The problem is that it's easy to rotate stuff on it. And when you rotate, the friction starts going outward, and then it loses its grip and falls off. As for this, you can do the same thing. He can indeed hold it like this, and then what I like to do is I like to kind of have him looking one way and put this arm up, and then the hand was rotated to simulate him holding it two-handed, you know, like that. But you can also take this and store it if you want. You can store it like it was in vehicle mode, up and down like that, and the peg is solid until it turns, and then it falls off. And that's mostly like, I've heard people say it's not a solid connection. The connection itself is solid. It's when it's easily turned and then it starts forcing itself off. This peg on the side, you can store the gun like this. It is not super solid. I think it might be the shape of things getting in the way of each other, or maybe it's just molded a little less tightly, but this peg is the one that's not solid for me. All the other pegs will plug in and hold. Oh, I lied. But yeah, they'll plug in there and it holds pretty good until it turns and forces itself off. And one last thing you can do if you want to is take the peg on the drill and plug it into this post on the gun, and he can have kind of an upside down bayonet there. You'd use it as a scope or like a second barrel or like a laser sight, whatever you want to do. And so usually, since it's easy to knock the guns off their connection on the back, I have them combined up, and I just kind of have him posed like this, you know, just holding his guns. So that's Brawn. We'll go ahead and get him in a posed position, and then we'll take a look at some size comparisons. Alright, and starting off our size comparisons, here we have him with the Core Class Secret Mold, this being Legacy Skywarp. Here he is with the slightly upscaled Legends figure, the KO New Age Secret Mold, this also being Skywarp. Here he is with the deluxe sized Voyager class hot rod from Studio Series 86, and you can really start to see just how kind of low to the ground he is. He is just short and compact and very, very bulky. And that's kind of how I understand we want our cups to be. So no complaints there. Here he is with a Voyager-sized Voyager class figure, that being Kingdom Cyclonus. And last but not least, here he is with the Leader class figure comparison, that being Studio Series 86 Slag for your Dinobots. They're pretty big leaders, aren't they? He's like twice the size of Brawn. And that's kind of how leaders used to be. Leaders were like twice the size of Deluxes height-wise, and then the Voyagers were like somewhere in the middle. But now we just have stuff that's sized like it should be and is really cool in the meantime, so I'm perfectly okay with that. And that about does it for Studio Series Brawn. Final thoughts wise, I wish maybe they had used a bigger peg or a longer peg for the gun, because the connection is solid. It's just easy to knock it off. Once that gun starts to rotate, it starts to come off the peg, and then the friction's no longer there, and it will fall off. But when you've got it straight on and you've got it on there, you can grab it by that gun and give it a good shake or two, and for the most part it stayed on there. So that's pretty much it. I like the vehicle. I like what they did with it. I really like the look of the robot. I like this design for Brawn from the Bumblebee movie, and I really do like the articulation on this guy. For the body type he has, he does have some decent articulation, and then he's got some articulation that makes sense. His drill is really fun for the vehicle mode. Honestly, I almost feel like the drill is more fun for vehicle mode and the gun is more fun for robot mode, so he gets to like shine with both of his weapons, which is really nice. And that's about it. The paint's really good, the colors are really good on it, and I don't get bored looking at him. His gun kind of blends into his hands a little bit, but that silver on the drill does a lot for that in robot mode. And I think he could be repainted and remolded into a grunt from Halo. And that's pretty much it. If you guys have an opinion on the grunt transformation that this guy could do, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Go ahead and give the video a like if you did like it, or if you found it useful in any way. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you've watched some of my videos and you want to see more. I've got some links to playlists down there, and I've got some links to some social media stuff down there, and that's about it. So this has been Sir Tacos with Talk About Transformers, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Alrighty guys, now that the review's over, I guess it's time for an end skit, but I don't really have a clever idea this time. I just figured, you know, we'd continue with our nice big burly robots that we've got going on here. So the next review is going to be the Bumblebee movie Studio Series Ratchet and Ironhide.